Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler has been supposedly in the works since early February of 2023, and now it is damn near March of 2024, and we still do not have a date for the fight. And I've been talking about it ad nauseum for the last year because since day one, I said this fight would never happen. I remember doing a video in like June of 2023 where Chandler's saying, I'm confident that it's going to happen by the end of the year. And I said, there's no way. There's absolutely no way. Well, Michael Chandler did another interview today with Ariel Helwani on the MMA Hour. I'll link the full video down in the description if you want to go check it out for context, where 99% of the interview was Michael Chandler being completely delusional. And then, like, there was moments, very brief moments, and we're going to take a look at them in this video, where he almost has a moment of clarity, where he realizes that this fight isn't coming to fruition. And I think he's slowly starting to realize it. And I honestly don't enjoy making these videos anymore. I'm actually kind of sad for Michael Chandler because he's one of my favorite fighters to watch. Like, we need to let him know, look, move on. This fight's not going to happen. Conor's just wasting your career away. You're one of the most exciting fighters on the roster, and he's wasting your career away. And that's why I have to make this video again, because Michael Chandler is delusional. His coaches, his manager, you know, everyone around him, his family. I don't know who's talking to him about this fight, but it's time to move on. Win or lose in another fight, the McGregor fight will still be there. If you sign another fight and you get brutally KO'd, guess what? McGregor is going to be more likely to fight you. So we're going to take a look at this MMA Hour interview because there were some moments in this that if I had taken a drink, I would have spit my drink out because I could not believe the amount of coping from Michael Chandler. And you could just tell, it's honestly, and this is crazy to even say, I'm not one of these internet psychologists, it's taken a psychological toll on Michael Chandler. It genuinely has taken a psychological toll. And we're going to start off with, I know I've already shown this in another video, but we're going to start off with Dana White from UFC 298. We're going to go through this very briefly. This was super recent, so I want to cover it. But this is Dana White's last, public discussion about Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler. And I know Chandler has seen this. I know he's seen this. But I don't know why he isn't understanding that this fight is never going to happen. Let's listen to Dana White at UFC 298. And he got pressed hard. I made a full dedicated video on this. He got pressed hard by this reporter. And it was basically, all he did was gish gallop when he was pressed. Let's listen to this.
Here, Dana.
Yes, sir.
With regard to Conor McGregor, what is the holdup with his return?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean...
What do you mean, first off? What is the holdup? I mean, it's a pretty straightforward question, Dana.
The Ultimate Fighter was over back in August, and I can't imagine the plan was for him to be out as long as he's been.
Well, the first problem was that he broke that shin bone. He was recovering from that. That was one of the reasons we had it on. The other problem is...
He broke his shin bone 3 years ago. He broke his shin bone 3 years ago.
He's fucking rich.
And how does that present an issue to you with negotiations?
What do you mean?
Well, this
also, by the way, shout out to this reporter again. I know I've already shouted him out in another video. This guy actually asked decent follow-up questions. And I know, people hate when I give my when I pause it too much, but you guys have to realize the point of these videos is to do commentary over top of this. By the way, if you enjoy these types of videos, make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you enjoy this particular video, share it out. I would greatly appreciate it. But this guy follows up. By the way, if Conor's injured, what does him being rich have anything to do with it? If he's not healthy, he can't fight. End of story. You don't need to say that he's rich. But it continues on for like another minute. Listen to this.
I'll ask, does Conor McGregor...
Conor McGregor doesn't need money.
So are we at a point here where Conor McGregor may never fight for the UFC? Can you say that?
If you had shitloads of money, would you be sitting here right now asking me this fucking question?
No.
No, you would not. That just answered your question.
Well, I answered.
So if you read between the lines there, Dana's saying, yeah, Conor may never fight for the UFC again.
No. So you're saying there's a chance that Conor McGregor will not fight again for the UFC?
I don't know. Conor McGregor's got a lot of money. And, anytime we get Conor, we'll be happy to, be thrilled when he comes and fights. But money complicates a lot of things. He just filmed a movie.
It's just not, what Dana White is doing here, he's gish galloping. Oh, he's got a broken leg. Oh, he's got too much money. Oh, he's got a movie. And what's crazy is Chandler regurgitates these same lines in the interview.
He's got to do the press for the movie, and he's got obligations with that. And he does want to fight this year, but we'll see what happens.
He does want to fight this year, but we'll see what happens. Chandler, are you not listening to this?
Part of the issue that Conor...
That's the only issue.
By the way, this is the best part from the reporter. Listen, Dana cuts him off because he doesn't want him to ask this question, because this is what's really going on, Chandler. I hope Michael Chandler somehow sees this video. I would love to have Michael Chandler on the channel. That's never going to happen, but I hope he sees this video. Listen to the follow-up question. Does it have to do with the contract?
Is there an issue?
There's no other issue.
Cuts him off again.
Wanting to re-sign him to a longer contract?
Conor McGregor has probably been one of the best business partners we've ever had. Doing business with Conor is getting Conor to show up to shit on time is a problem. But Conor, as far as the business goes, for a guy, everybody talks about how Conor used to be on the dole and all this stuff. For a guy that was on the dole, Conor McGregor is a very good businessman, and Conor McGregor has always been a great partner to us.
So then why'd you just say money complicates things? It makes absolutely no sense. It's just a million excuses, because the true answer, Chandler, if you don't know this, Conor has 2 fights left on his deal. The UFC does not want him fighting his contract out. So one of 2 things is going to happen. Conor's going to get a new deal, and then maybe you get the fight. Or Conor fights out his deal, or waits out his deal, not fights out his deal. Or he waits out his deal because he has a sunset clause in there, and he leaves the organization like Francis Ngannou and probably goes and boxes Manny Pacquiao or Floyd Mayweather over in Saudi Arabia for $100 million. That's what's going to happen here. But we'll listen to the rest of Dana White's response before we get to the MMA Hour interview.
There's never any hanging out and haggling for money, or, you pay me more money. Conor McGregor has never done anything even remotely close to that. It's the exact opposite.
Not even true. He's publicly negotiated with the UFC multiple times. Multiple times. So that's not even true. But it doesn't even make sense, because he's saying, oh, well, he's too rich to get him in the cage. But now, oh, when it's time to make money, he's perfect. Makes absolutely no sense. Conor McGregor wants a new contract, or he wants to fight out his contract. One or the other. The UFC is not willing to give him what he wants in his new contract, or maybe he doesn't even want the new contract. He just wants to fight out his last 2 fights. That's it. And I think, honestly, there's a good chance McGregor never fights in the UFC again. That's just my theory. I may be wrong on that. But let's move on to the Michael Chandler interview. Let's start right away. Chandler went on a WWE broadcast and was like, yeah, I only got one dude on my mind. I did a whole video on that. I'll link it down below if you want to go check it out. And basically, he went to WWE and called out Conor McGregor. It was the most embarrassing, desperate, groveling I've ever seen of an MMA fighter in the entire history of the sport. I've been watching for 14 years, so it's since I've been watching. And Ariel Helwani asked some decent questions in this interview. He asked, have you heard from Conor since then? By the way, I wanted to mix this in here. I'm not going to show the clip again, because I probably showed it 100 times, and I know you guys are probably getting tired of seeing it. A month ago, or 2 months ago now, Michael Chandler told Brett Okamoto in his 480p camera that he was getting ready to leave his family for training camp. This was back in January, because Conor posted a video on Twitter. He's leaving his family, abandoning his family to go train. But let's listen to Ariel asked him, have you heard from Conor McGregor since your call out on WWE Raw, where you say, yeah, I got one dude on my mind. Get your candy ass back in the cage. Okay, let's listen.
Think from him.
We don't. No, we've never DM'd or any of that kind of stuff. Our only interactions have been on the show or when we've kept past each other in crossing or in passing. I haven't really seen. I saw some people that said he liked it or he responded or whatever it may be.
He's not responded. Not that I know of. But yeah, they don't DM. He has no idea. He hasn't heard from Conor.
Honestly, I haven't really been on it, social media much. I've traveled from Anaheim to Jacksonville. Got some work out here I'm doing. I'm doing an event tonight, speaking on stage. So just keep myself busy, and the fight's going to materialize when it materializes and how it materializes.
The fight's going to materialize when it materializes and how it materializes. I honestly believe Michael Chandler's reading like a lot of motivational and like self-help books. And he's like, I'm going to speak this fight into existence. That's not going to work, Chandler. It's just not going to work. So just completely delusional. And then Ariel asked him later in the interview, because half this interview, they don't even talk about Conor. They only talk about Conor for maybe 5 minutes or so, max, maybe 10. But he asked him in the next clip, why isn't this fight happening? And basically, he just kind of copes and makes excuses for why it's not happening and kind of, just makes excuses for it. That's it. Let's listen.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of complicated stuff happening behind the scenes. Nobody's had to feel like they've waited longer than me, right?
Yeah, he's waited a long time. By the way, I want to make this very clear in the beginning of the video. And I know we're kind of like, decent amount of time in. My perception of Michael Chandler throughout this entire topic, through this entire last year saga of him and McGregor, he is completely in the dark. The information he's getting is from Dana White in interviews, in press conferences, and also from like stuff Chael Sonnen's posting online, which Chael Sonnen is not a reliable source. I know probably more than Michael Chandler knows at this point. Nobody's telling him anything. He's being kept completely in the dark, and you'll probably come to that realization as you listen to this interview.
I've been ready to fight since right after the Ultimate Fighter, but I also understand the time off has been good. The time with my family has been good. Business has been booming outside of me fighting in the cage for a paycheck.
I hope that's true. I truly hope that's true. But this is just Chandler trying to cope with the fact and come to terms with the fact he's starting to realize he made a mistake.
But ultimately, yeah, I mean, Conor's got his stuff going on. He's now promoting Roadhouse that's coming out in March. Obviously there was the USADA stuff and then now the new drug testing stuff. There was just all these different layers, plus what Dana has said, man.
So, Dana said this and now Chandler said this. And Chandler, again, only information he's getting is from Dana White's press conference. He must have saw that clip. So let me get this straight. Conor's promoting a movie for March. So that's coming out in the next 2 to 3 weeks. That means Conor can't commit to a date in the summer. That's what that means? Why is Chandler like making excuses for him? Like, this is embarrassing. I mean, like, this is like, when you hear about the abused taking up for the abuser. That's almost what this feels like from Michael Chandler. Like, yeah, he's got a movie coming out in March that he has like a decent size role in. So there's no way he could potentially commit to a fight 6 months from now. Like, yeah, there's no way he's training. It makes no sense.
Money complicates things.
Literally direct quote from Dana White. I'm telling you, nobody's telling Chandler anything. He's completely in the dark.
There's a lot of money involved in this fight. There's a lot of money in Conor's camp outside, what he has built and what he has amassed. And everybody, whether you love him or hate him, you got to respect what the man has built, right? So it has complicated things. And but either way, the Chandler train is continuing to move forward. And we're not getting off this train.
You need to. Get off the train. You're wasting your career. Even if you lose a fight or win a fight, you probably have a better chance of getting the Conor fight down the line. Just move on. Just move on. Stop. Get off the train. And he comes to realize this. He almost kind of admits that later on in the interview. We'll see it.
This is the fight that is happening. I can't tell you a date. I can't tell you a weight, but I can tell you the fight is happening. And
I can't tell you a date. I can't tell you a weight, which he's talking about the weight class, which he actually talks about in this interview as well. But I'm telling you right now, Chandler has read too many self-help books where he's like, if you just keep speaking it into existence, he says it multiple times throughout this interview. Fights definitely happen. Fights definitely happen. Like, he's convincing himself.
And I have way too many assurances that this fight is happening to think otherwise. So
assurances from who? The UFC? Dana White, Hunter Campbell, the entire UFC brass have no idea if Conor's ever going to return. And you think those assurances mean something?
There's some dates that make sense. Obviously, UFC 300 made a lot of sense. It really did. Got to be honest with you. I thought, that was what it was going to be. Makes a lot of sense. Why wouldn't you want to be and headline the biggest card that UFC has ever put on, right? But ultimately, it's not. And we stay patient. We stay training. We stay ready.
We stay patient. We stay training. We stay ready. Dude, I mean, I feel bad for Chandler, but at the same time, like, how does he not realize by now? How does he not realize what's going on? He's being had. His career's getting wasted. It's really getting wasted, boys. And, like, again, we're going to see in this next clip, he's still repeating, oh, it's going to happen soon. It's going to get announced soon. Listen to this. Listen to this. I mean, I can't get over this. And even starts discussing some, like, rumored dates here that, like, literally he has no idea what's going on.
The fight's going to happen. There's different rumors going on around later this year, fall, summer, whatever it might be. But
he has no fucking clue.
We just need everybody to stay patient. I understand the sentiment. I understand the haste at which people want this fight to be booked. I understand it. Everybody loves to see me fight. Every time I fight, every time I go to a fight, I'm reminded why people love to watch me fight, because I do bring a different speed, a different cadence, a different ferocity than most fighters are willing to go to. And then obviously Conor being the biggest combat star on the planet, people want to see this fight, but patience is a virtue, man. And I've learned that over the last year, and I'm going to keep on keeping on.
Patience is a virtue. I mean, at what year is he going to stop waiting for this fight? It's going to be 2040. It's going to be 2050. Chandler is literally going to be a grandparent, okay? And the fight, he's still going to be like, yeah, any day now, Conor's going to sign the contract. Any day now. It's just not happening. It's just not happening. In this next clip, he kind of slips up and starts to kind of say how he's starting to kind of doubt it's ever going to happen. Listen to this. This was like the first time I'm like, oh, is Chandler starting to have a moment of clarity? Has he seen one of the videos? I mean, he needs to just realize it's not happening.
I signed up for. I will say that every month that goes by, I'm like, man, I didn't know it was going to take this long. But then I'm like reminded of the conversation I had with Dana and Hunter, and they're like, hey, this is going to be something different than you've ever done before. This is not like booking a regular fight.
It's not like booking it's been a year, bro.
So there's going to be some highs, there's going to be some lows, there's going to be some brick walls you're going to run into. There's going to be some days you want to step off the train, but stay on the train. So we're heading towards a collision course. Conor's road back to the UFC goes through Nashville, Tennessee. He can't go and fight anybody else. He's fighting me. It's Chandler versus McGregor.
That's completely not true. I believe if Conor signs a new deal with the UFC, he'll probably demand a different opponent than Michael Chandler. He'll probably say, re-sign Nate Diaz, I want to redo the trilogy. If Conor signs a long-term deal, I think the icing on top of the cake of the deal for Conor is a better stylistic matchup than Michael Chandler. I truly believe that. So the road doesn't necessarily go through you. And look at the way he's talking about, oh, we got some rumors with this and that. I mean, it's just crazy.
Hopefully this summer. That's my plan. I'm at least planning for that sometime this summer after UFC 300, and we'll see when that contract gets booked. Whenever the fight announcement happens, it's gonna be a big one.
Whenever the fight announcement happens, it's gonna be a big one. Chandler, it might not be till you're a grandpa. It might not be another 5 years. I mean, this is craziness, and you can see the doubt. He's starting to really doubt it as he's talking about it, and it's just kind of awkward. It's just kind of awkward, and I made videos. A month ago when he did a couple interviews basically confirming the June 29th date and he's leaving his family and blah, blah, blah. He confirms in this interview in a second, I have not got confirmation on any date, which obviously is very clear already, but he makes it even clearer right here. You'll see, he said, I have not got confirmation on any possible date.
I mean, I have not gotten confirmation that it is June 29th or any other card, by the way.
Yeah, because honestly, if this fight does happen, I would say it doesn't happen till winter of this year. Winter. Like we're talking November, December at best. If Conor does return and fight Michael Chandler, I don't think it's happened any earlier than that, but we'll see.
So I know it's obviously not UFC 300 at this point.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping for this summer, and I will train as such. I'm already in shape. The whole Honda Center saw that on Monday night.
Oh, he's talking about when he jumped up on the chair and started screaming, and honestly probably blew out his vocal cords. But I feel bad for him. I know he's got this shit-eating grin on his face right now, but, I think it's a guy that's lying to himself. I'm not trying to be some internet armchair psychiatrist. I think he's lying to himself. He's really starting to doubt it, but he's like, he picks up a motivational book, and he's like, he's Mr. Positive, and he's trying to believe he didn't waste his career for nothing. It's going to be embarrassing, but if he moves on now, at least he only wasted like a year and 3 months. He could have used a little bit of time off. Just jump off now. Don't waste another 6 months. Don't waste another 8 months or 10 months. I mean, that'd be completely ridiculous. Now, in this next clip, he's asked about a potential weight class. And this just goes to show you he literally knows absolutely nothing.
I welcome any weight. Obviously 155, 170, 185. The way I see it is 185, 170, I'm doing the exact same training camp as I would at 155. I'm doing the same amount of cardio, the same amount of training. I will probably just eat a little bit more, and it might be a little bit more enjoyable.
So there you go. He's just showing he's Conor McGregor's groupie. He'll do anything Conor McGregor wants. He'll do anything for this fight. I don't even think he's getting a increase in pay from the UFC for this fight. Everyone says, oh, it's red panty night. No, a lot of these guys don't have the UFC by the balls. Like when Nate Diaz jumped in on short notice, he had the UFC by the balls. When Nate Diaz beat Conor and needed the rematch, he had the UFC by the balls. Michael Chandler's willing to do anything for this fight. I don't think he's getting an increase in pay. I don't think he's getting pay-per-view points. What Chandler's hoping is to use the clout from this fight and the potential win to parlay it into increased revenue from sponsors or other business ventures. That is it. He's not getting pay-per-view points for this. I will bet my life on that. So, but he's willing. He'll fight him at 205 if he wants. He made a video a couple months ago, or like a month ago, talking about like how he was going to structure his diet to make 185 and still be lean, which is just completely ridiculous. And in this next clip, he's asked specifically, You know, when is it going to be time for you to move on? You've been waiting all this time. When is it going to be time for you to move on? And you'll see it here in a second.
I think every day it's a moving target. Like I said, if I was having any kind of inclination or information coming to my doorstep on my phone behind the scenes that made it sound like this fight was not happening, yeah, we might make a pivot. But
you're not getting any information. I don't think he's getting any information at all. I genuinely don't believe he hears anything. So if I got any information, it's not. Let this be the information, Chandler. Pivot. Move on. Call out Justin Gaethje. Tell the UFC, let Max fight Topuria in Spain. Give me Gaethje. Let me have the Gaethje rematch. Let me fight for the BMF title on UFC 300. Do that. That's how you can save your career right now. Win or lose, Conor will still fight you. Or you have the same probability of him fighting you. Let me say it that way.
As of right now, it's happening. And, like I said, we don't have a date, but we sure are getting dang close.
What evidence do you have to support that you're getting dang close? I would love to know. Present it to me. I would love it to know. What information do you have that it's getting dang close? Because there's none.
All the prerequisites and check marks thus far that everyone said, oh, he's not getting back in the testing pool, or, oh, we're not going to see him performing like he used to. Have you seen the dude's sparring footage? Have you seen the dude's grappling footage? Have you seen the dude, how in shape the dude is? The dude is training. He's obviously putting the work in. You guys see me training every single day.
So basically, he's stalking Conor McGregor's social media. I haven't seen Conor lifting heavy weights. Has anybody else? If somebody's seen Conor lifting heavy weights, please let me know. I would love to know, but that's not happening. This dude's stalking his social media. That's how obsessed he is. That's how obsessed he is with Conor McGregor. He's literally dedicated the last year and a half of his life to obsessing over another grown man. There's only one dude on his mind, and he'll scream it at the top of his lungs, and that guy's from Ireland. It's just crazy to me. And then we have 2 more clips here, or actually 3 more clips. I mean, it just gets more embarrassing. It gets more embarrassing. And he finally, in the last clip we're going to look at here in a second, he talks about like he almost comes to the realization like this fight's never happening. You can almost see it. But this next clip is just completely embarrassing. I could not believe, he making excuses for Conor and just like kind of, taking him into the NBA Finals bathroom and finishing him. And I'm not talking TKO or submission.
You guys can say what you want about him, but he has never once pulled out of a fight.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Your fight was never signed. Your fight was never announced. So, Chandler, I genuinely want to know down in the comments. Let me know. Do you feel like Chandler's trying to convince himself more than he's trying to convince us? Because that's what it feels like.
He's had numerous people pull out of fights against him. He's taken fights on short notice. He's gone up weight classes, down weight classes. So once again, I'm not sitting here tooting his horn, but
You are tooting his horn. You're doing more than tooting his horn. You're playing a skin flute. I mean, come off it, dude. At least talk some shit. Tell the people he's scared of you. Tell the people he's ducking you. Tell the people he doesn't want your physical strength and he saw you lifting heavy weights one time and he doesn't want the smoke. Like, you're just going to sit here and just jerk the guy off and hoping that he returns for you? That's just crazy.
I have an immense amount of respect for every.
All right, we get it. You have an immense amount of respect for him. What an embarrassment. I mean, this shit actually aggravates me. This is when I start to stop feeling bad for Chandler. I mean, that's so embarrassing. And then he's asked in this next clip, do you have any regrets? Do you have any regrets waiting this long for Conor McGregor to return?
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
I mean, seriously, what the hell?
Absolutely not. And I see it. People can do the math. Well, first of all, people's math is way off. They're like, he waited 2 years. It's only been 1 year.
Yes.
It's only been 1 year.
Confirmed? Chandler's seen the videos? Confirmed? No. What people are saying is by the time you were even to fight him, because if it happens, it's not the earliest I could see it happening would be fall of this year. At that point, it's basically 2 years. You fought November of 2022. I mean, that's 2 years, dude. That's 2 years. And they just coax a little bit more about why he's not getting the fight. You can just tell it's mentally breaking this guy. He needs psychological help.
And I filmed The Ultimate Fighter, and I filmed my own show while The Ultimate Fighter was going on, and I've got all these other things going on outside of the octagon. Plus, let's take people down a trip down memory lane. I signed with the organization in September of 2020.
He starts bragging about beating Dan Hooker and the dead body of Tony Ferguson. At this point, Chandler is damn near, 38? Wasted the last 2 years of his career? I mean, it's just embarrassing. He should regret this. He should regret this, and he needs to stop coping about it and saying, well, I filmed the Ultimate Fighter. Yeah, typically the coaches fight at the end of the Ultimate Fighter. You know when the end of the Ultimate Fighter was aired, the Ultimate Fighter finale? UFC 292, August of 2023. That's 6 months ago, bro. That's 6 months ago. And then this last clip, you can tell he's thinking about, like, he's getting real close to jumping off the train. And I'm hoping maybe he sees this video and it puts him over the top because he needs to get off this train. I want to see him fight.
2 or 3 years. So it's been a heck of a year. Not going to sit here and lie and say there hasn't been moments where I was like, man, this is silly, man. I might need to hop off the train.
It is silly. You're waiting on another grown man. You can fight him anytime. Make money. Stay active. Stop wasting. This is making me sick.
But all in all, by and large, man, this has been the best year of my life, and I believe I'm going to have the best performance of my life whenever me and Conor fight.
Whenever it happens, probably not going to be till 2027, 2028, if it ever happens. I mean, completely delusional. Maybe starting to come to the realization, though. Maybe starting to come to the realization. I honestly believe this fight will never materialize. I feel bad for Chandler. Somebody needs to talk to Chandler and tell him, look, Conor doesn't want to fight you. He wants an easier matchup. He's admitted it. I've done videos in the past. Conor wants a tune-up fight. He doesn't want Chandler. And on top of that, he only has 2 fights left on his deal. Conor McGregor and the UFC are butting heads. They may not resolve this issue for another year. It wouldn't shock me if it isn't resolved one way or another until 2025. And maybe I'm wrong, but at the best case scenario, like in the most optimal scenario, I guess maybe June. Maybe June. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, that's, I guess, damn near 3 months, 4 months away. I guess if it would be the end of June. That's the best possibility. I don't think that's going to happen. Dana White has already come out and said, oh, we're hopeful he fights this year. Hopefully fights this year. You're banking your entire career on this. You could have fought 3-4 times since you last fought, but instead you're waiting on the sidelines for Conor McGregor to call your name. And I just think at this point, Chandler needs to start talking shit at the bare minimum. But I think the best course of action, call the UFC. The UFC might actually feel bad for you. Tell the UFC, look, let me fight Gaethje at UFC 300, take Max Holloway's spot. Book Max versus Ilia Topuria for the featherweight title. Problem solved. You lose to Gaethje, Conor McGregor is going to be like that meme of the guy rubbing his hands behind the tree. He's going to be, oh, Chandler just got knocked out. I definitely want that fight now, even more than I wanted it before, potentially. If you win, Conor's going to want that BMF title. That's what you need to do, Chandler. That's truly what you need to do. But this interview's delusional. The fact that he's still like, think about it. He's literally mentally and physically preparing for a mythical fight against a mythical opponent in a mythical weight class, having a mythical training camp. And he thinks, if I go on the MMA Hour and I just just repeat over and over again, the fight's going to happen, the fight's going to happen, the fight's going to happen. He's thinking, if I say it loud enough, if I say it for long enough, it's going to come to fruition. It's delusional. It's embarrassing. And the sucking up to Conor really has got to end. It's just really so. I mean, the WWE call out was so embarrassing. I got one dude on my mind. I mean, completely embarrassing and despicable. Well, not really despicable, but you get my point. It's just, I mean, it really rubs me the wrong way, the way Chandler is just deriding Conor McGregor over and over and over again. When Dana White's even said, look, we don't know if he's ever going to return to the UFC. So Chandler needs to move on. This interview was embarrassing. I'll link the full thing down in the description if you want to go check it out. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe. And thank you so much for watching.